Hello, welcome back to Fred in the Shed. We're in the Radio Shack. Not a radio-based video, this one, just something a little bit different. So stick with it. Probably aimed more at fellow YouTube creators, and maybe the smaller YouTube creators, a bit like myself, people that are struggling to get on in YouTube. And it concerns this screen I have in the background. This is called a social media display tracker. Now, you must have seen these in other people's videos. Always looked a bit interesting to me, stuck up in the background somewhere. Displays the total view count for the channel, also the number of subscribers typically. Just looked a little bit cool. I've often wondered how these work. So we've got one in now. This one was sent in by Divoom. It is called the Pixoo-64, and in a nutshell, it's a low-res LED screen. They pronounce it as a pixel art cloud frame. That's its full technical term. For my reference, think of things like years ago, like teletext and CFAX. If you're old enough to remember that, do you remember like the little graphics? Also moving GIF files and emojis, things like that for the younger generation. People also like to put up their gaming avatars, which of course are low-res pixel pictures. So yeah, pixel art. It's something a little bit unique, but this screen will obviously display it. So what we got here is 64 by 64 res, 4096 LEDs. So yeah, definitely low res. 10.3 inches is the screen size. So let's have a closer look at it, and we'll look around the screen, and it's very, very basic to use, and then we'll look more at what it does, and I'll just give you some examples of some of the pixel art that it can display. So firstly, let's talk about what you get in the box. Now, unfortunately, my box suffered a little bit of a dink, as you can see there, which was a little bit interesting because the packaging that it came in was absolutely fine. So it must have suffered this in the packing stage, but unfortunately, it was still sent out. Luckily, the screen itself was completely undamaged. But other than that, it's quite a nice unboxing experience. They've done a really nice job actually when you open the box. You don't get too much in the box though. You get the screen itself, and then you get a USB power adapter. Now, it's only a 2-pin adapter, so not really the right adapter for UK use. You also get this rather nice 2-meter braided USB cable. Now, when I fit this in my shack, I'm going to have to try and extend this, but they do not recommend that you extend this cable. They say that 2 meters is the maximum length, and that's because of the amp draw on the unit. These are sort of quite large LEDs. It's not an LCD panel, so it does draw a maximum of 2 amps over a 2-meter cable. It does come with an instruction book, and it's quite thick. I was quite hopeful that I was going to sit down and work out how to use it. Unfortunately, it is only just 2 pages. The rest of it is multi-language. And all it does really, it just directs you how to download the app onto your phone. Now, this is an app-controlled device. There's no remote control in the box. You have to be comfortable in using an app. And there it is on my slightly older smartphone. We'll come back to the app because that isn't the screen's best feature. So we'll come back to that in a minute. Let's have a closer look at the screen. So firstly, I've got to say, as far as the construction of the screen goes, it is very nice quality. It is a premium product. It's the sort of thing that you generally see in cafeterias and shops, and it seems to be aimed more at the commercial market than the home market. So as I mentioned, it's 10.3 inches, 64 by 64, which is 4096 single LEDs. Each one, of course, is RGB, and each one has variable brightness. Hopefully it comes out on camera, but the screen is very, very sharp. You need to be about 2 meters away from it before it really sort of shows its best quality. Otherwise, it does look a little bit pixelated. Let me just zoom in to the screen. So now that we've zoomed in a little bit closer, you can see that other than just a simple on-off LED, the LED is, I guess you'd call it structured. It's almost like 3-dimensional. It's bright in the middle and then it's slightly diffused to the outside. Really quite good. Let me zoom out again. This is quite a good little GIF we've got going here. So no real complaints about the quality of the display. Really nice. When it comes down to the frame, it is made out of plastic. It's quite heavy. Comes in at 978 grams. Does have a microphone in the bottom here because there is a visualization, a graphics equalizer effect. I did try that, but on my first attempt I couldn't get that to run, and it has been a slight problem with this. It has been a little bit clunky. A few times it's locked up and I've had to reset it, and then it's worked absolutely fine. Now, just looking on the back of the unit, things well, not quite so good here, I'll be honest with you. We have this very thin piece of plastic. Now when the frame arrives, that is fitted into the top of the frame now. I couldn't get it out. I thought it must have a stand of some description, but I ended up having to get a screwdriver. I slightly scratched the case there, trying to prise that out because it was pushed in so hard. Yeah, not ideal that. I mean, I think for the money I'd have liked to have seen a nice pull-out stand so it would stand up on its own. This is a very cheap, well, very cheap solution. It's almost it's almost like they forgot to put a standing, and at the very last minute someone did it. So the idea is that just goes in there, and it's horrible really. It pushes up like that, but it doesn't really lock, and that's how it stands up. It works, but it's a very cheap solution. USB-C, of course, goes in the bottom. There's a little LED light there, gives you an idea when the unit's switched on. I believe the earlier versions, I noticed, they had a TF card, so you could run it straight from a TF card for GIFs and animations. That's been removed on this version. It does have a little speaker there. Not sure that it displays any noises other than a few bleeps here and there. Cable management, of course, comes down there, so you can hang it from a wall. Has a little keyhole slot there for a wall. Also, on top of the unit, there is a single tripod mount, and then on the bottom of the unit, there is 2 tripod mounts for studio use. This side of the unit, nothing at all, just a flat black plastic frame. And on here, we have a simple rocker switch here to switch the unit on and off, and also to control the brightness. So everything about controlling the screen is done via your mobile phone or tablet. It does have Android and Apple support. Now then, so far I was quite impressed with this, but things start falling apart pretty quickly when you start using the app. To me, it just feels like the app is very rushed, almost a beta production. Feels like it needs a lot of work. It's a little bit clunky, can be unresponsive. Sometimes it just refuses to work. I was a bit surprised because I looked back on the reviews for this, and even on their own channel. Now, it does get some quite high reviews. I think it's sort of up in the 4s out of 5s for the reviews, but you don't have to look very far. In fact, just next to that, and there is quite a damning review that's quite transparently put on their website, which again echoes my concerns about the app control. Shame really, because I think this is the Achilles heel in the whole thing. I think they could have spent a little bit more money on the app, or certainly they could have developed it, because it appears that the app has had no development for the last at least three years. Now, when it comes down to the animations that you can get on this, despite the app's clunkiness, there is one feature that is really good, and that is that you have a gallery section, and in here are people's own creations. What anyone can, if you can create GIF art. And again, I'd hoped when I got this, I'd hoped that there was going to be a GIF art creator on here, so I could create my own. There is a very, very basic one. I'll show you that in a moment. But I wanted to upload a picture or a video and hope it would create a GIF for me. It doesn't actually do that. You have to source that yourself. But this is probably one of the better features of the app. So you can go in here. You know, the quality is dependent on the people that are creating these little GIFs or these little pixel arts. Some are really, really good and some are really, really rubbish. But there are literally thousands and thousands, and I believe this is sort of updated daily. So yeah, that's pretty good actually. I quite like that. Then you've got different sections. You've got what is called the expert sections. Again, so this is what this one is. We can go into here, and these are people that are generally got a little bit more skill when it comes to creating GIF art. I quite like the screen. It just describes being on YouTube, I think. So yeah, quite good. Now then, when it comes down to what you're going to be using the screen for in a YouTube sort of situation, is that you want to display your YouTube data, and that's really what we want to do. A little bit odd that I thought there'd be a whole section for YouTube, but it seems to be right at the beginning of this app, and it's not the easiest thing to use, and it seems to be in the clocks section. So it says my clocks, and this is where I've got my YouTube. So this is Fred in the Shed YouTube, and I was quite impressed with this when it first came on. I thought, great, and I will use it. I will use it on videos. Anything that didn't quite work for me, for example, so this is my view count, 19205k. I've actually got 19 million views in total, but when that comes up, it does give you the correct number because it is saying 19,205,000. But I would like to have changed that just to say 19.2 M for the millions. Again, this is not configurable, unfortunately. You can supposedly change some of the features of this app, like the view counts and also the subscribers. You'll notice the scrolling stops on the screen as it refreshes. I tried to switch those off, and the app didn't like it, and it crashed. So yeah, would have liked to have changed this around a little bit. Again, a little bit disappointed that I couldn't do that. But I think the biggest issue on this YouTube media counter is that it doesn't refresh or update live, and it appears to be only to refresh when you switch it on first thing, we'll say in the morning. I had this on yesterday for about 4 hours, and the view count didn't update at all. So that's a bit disappointing. I was hoping it was going to be live, and also the clock seems to run away from itself. I set this yesterday. It's not on auto, and it's already 2 minutes fast. It's not a biggie. But then when it comes to getting your YouTube data, that is relatively easy to do. So let me show you that, because I can get my second channel up on the screen. Now, ironically, when you read the instructions on the app, it says not just to put in the YouTube name, put in the web address. But I found this actually worked perfectly fine for my channel. I just put in Fred in the Shed, and we search that. There we go. So it actually comes up with 2 Fred in the Sheds. Both seem to work, and also my second channel there as well. So if I would click on that, for example, and then click done, check everything's set, and then we just have to click the little tick. It's not obvious, is it? You go back to clock settings and nothing changes, but you have to click the little tick there, and then it should hopefully now refresh. And there we go. And this is my Fred in the Shed 2 channel, and that's exactly right, 4,200 subscribers. And now the view counts, because I haven't got that many, there you go, that's my maximum views, so it's 627,042, so that's quite right. So yeah, that's quite painless, and yeah, quite impressed with that, how that works. But as I say, I just wish there would be a quicker refresh on certainly on the view count. I did contact Divoom by email and did ask them a couple of basic questions, like how often does this information refresh. But unfortunately they just gave me a generic reply and directed me to their support section, which yeah, I'm not really going to get involved in that when I do a review. If I ask a question about a device whilst it's on review, I do kind of expect for them to come back with an answer, not just to kick the can down the road. So yeah, a little disappointed with that. Conclusion time then. What do we think of this little screen? Well, I've ended up with kind of like mixed feelings. On the one side, it's quite unique. There really aren't that many social media display trackers available. When you look at the price, it sells for just under £120 on the website. So it's not cheap, but it's not hyper expensive. And when you look at the commercial quality of the screen, and certainly when you're looking close at these individual LEDs, how they're shadowed with a dark outline, they are very, very sharp. So I think for the quality of the screen, I think that price is quite fair. What lets the product down though, and yeah, quite severely, is the operating app that you get on your phone. Now, if this was a Kickstarter product, then you could expect that the software might be a little bit clunky to start with, and they will listen to customer feedback and it will be improved with software updates and firmware updates for the device itself. But as I mentioned, when you go back on their social side of this, you can read complaints that were coming in 2 or 3 years ago, issues that I've found today in 2025 and have not been addressed. And it doesn't look like the software app has been updated. When I watched some older YouTube videos that were 2 or 3 years old, they're showing pretty much the same app on the phone. So it seems that they're not supporting the product. Are they supporting customers as well? As I said, I did email them as a reviewer and got a generic answer. Just sorry you're not happy, please contact our support. It's not very good, is it, for something that's on review? So I just feel that the software side of it lets it down, and that would make me second think my decision before I hit the buy it now. However, if you're someone that you like these little apps on your phone, and you're a bit younger than me maybe, and you can go into these, and also if you can create your own pixel art and create your own GIFs, a gamer, something like that, this would be ideal for showing your creations. So keep an eye out for it, because I think I will be using it. I think I will mount it somewhere in the back of the shack, and you'll be seeing this perhaps in future videos. Well, there you go. That's the end of the review. I hope it was helpful for you if you as a creator and you're considering one of these display trackers. As always, I'd like to thank you people for watching my videos, especially this one, because it will get very, very little views. I do appreciate that. So thank you very much for sticking with it. As always, please, please, please look after yourselves, stay safe, and of course, I will catch you all on the next video. Cheers, guys.